Hello, hello, welcome. We're live. We're live. Welcome to Walking the Path. I'm so grateful to be here. Today, we're going to talk about kind and just. What does it mean to be kind and just? We need some more kindness and some more justness in our society, in our lives. I've been, down here in Costa Rica, which is a kind of a bubble outside of what's going on in a lot of places. And so I wanted to talk about being kind and just and what that means in our society and for us, and how do we do that in such a controversial society or culture where we're not all playing with the same set of facts, where we have different facts and it seems diametrically opposed opinions. How do we welcome kindness and justness into our society, into ourselves, into our own heart, so that we can be that? That's the intention of today's talk, kind and just. And I want to talk to you a little bit about Rythmia. Rythmia is a life advancement center in Costa Rica. Amazing miracles happen there every week. People come there. Sometimes it's their last chance. They're like, this is my last chance. If this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do. Sometimes people come there out of curiosity. Sometimes people come there because they're going through a change in life, a transition. They're looking for the next step. Sometimes people come there to heal. Sometimes people come there to expand their awareness, to go deeper. But every time you come, there's a miracle. And the miracle is that you shed some previously held belief, some limiting belief, and that you step into your most authentic self, your true self, and you forgive and heal. That is what happens at Rythmia. And I want to this talk is under the auspices of Rythmia. So if you're on Instagram and you want to find out about Rythmia, go to rythmia.com. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, the number's on the screen. Please go investigate it for yourself. Now, on to our talk. Kind and just. I was just talking to my cousin who is visiting, and we were talking about, she said that she voted for Trump, and she said her godmother voted for Harris, and her godmother isn't talking to her anymore. Or they had an altercation and things are tense. I know that's happening all over the place. Lots of people are saying they want to leave the United States. And, there's concern on both sides. That's not the intention of today's talk. Today's talk is what's so is what's so. How are we going to move through the world? I cannot control anything external to me. I do not have dominion over anything external to me. Viktor Frankl reminds us that the only power we have is the distance between stimulus and response. And our ability to respond to the stimulus is our responsibility. So, can't do anything about the way things are going, whether I like it or not, whether it's AI or war in the Middle East, war in Ukraine, war in the Congo, war in Sudan, whether it's Cuba and the issues that are happening in Cuba with the US embargo. I can't really do anything about that. What can I do? What is my responsibility? What is my task? What is your task? Our first task in holding the vision of a kind and just society, in holding the vision that I want to interact with people in a kind and just way. My intention is to be kind and just. The first thing that we must do is do our inner work. We've got to tend our inner garden. Most of the time, I'm not very kind to myself. How about you? Are you kind and just to yourself? I'm the one who's typically my hardest critic. Are you your worst critic? Probably. And we berate ourselves for all sorts of things. That ends up being a projection out onto other people. So the first step to kind and just, to being kind and just, is to be kind and just to ourselves. Last week we talked about people pleasing, and a funny comment came up from Martin, who's a agape practitioner, and he was watching, and I was so grateful. And he said, I have to remember I'm a people too. And I just thought that was hilarious. And I did a post about it, right? It's okay to be a people pleaser. It's okay to be a people pleaser. Just remember you're a people too. The same kindness and care and concern that you give to other people, we've got to give to ourselves. And we often think that taking care of ourselves is being selfish, or it's the thing that we can give up first. But the truth is, the greatest love that we can have for another is to take care of ourselves so we can continue to love and take care of another. Social workers are typically spend a lot of time to get a master's degree in social work, and within 5 years they're burnt out because there's this so much work to be done, so many people in need, that the work is endless and they give of themselves tirelessly and burn out. Many doctors burn out. It's that same idea. I'm the one that can be cut out because other people need me so much. And the truth is, we're going to burn ourselves out, and we're not going to be kind, and we're not going to be just when we are in that place. So the first step is loving ourselves, taking care of ourselves, being kind and just to ourselves. That's the first step. The second piece then is that once we tend our own inner garden and we start looking at the things, because the second piece is there's nothing outside of me that can cause me to be hurt, harmed, or endangered. Nothing outside of me can cause me pain or suffering unless I allow it. My only power is the distance between stimulus and response. So, this realization that anything outside of me that is bothering me, causing me pain or suffering, is a symbol of something inside of me that's seeking to be healed. That's the second piece to kind and just society, is to realize that anything outside of me that the entire world, and in fact the entire universe and our particular life experience, is a reflection of ourselves. That the universe doesn't, there's nobody, no person in the sky going, oh, yeah, you had that bad thought or you did that bad deed, so I'm going to make sure karma comes back to you. No, I'm sorry, I don't buy that. The universe is reflective. It's like a mirror. And like a mirror, you don't have to do anything to get it to reflect back to you. You don't have to pray to the mirror. You don't have to beg the mirror. You don't have to be nice to the mirror. You don't have to do good deeds in front of the mirror for the mirror to reflect its image back to you, your image back to you. You stand in front of the mirror, bam, that image comes back. That's automatic. It's a law. It's the law of mirror. I don't know, but it's a law. So, and the other thing about a mirror is you are 100% certain that the image that's being returned to you is exactly what you're putting in. There's no deviation. There can be dysmorphia in our minds, but the image itself is the exact reflection. And this is the nature of the universe. I know because I had a talk with the universe. Okay. Hello, universe. So I just wanted to know what your exact, oh, hey, calm down. I didn't think it was a problem to call. The universe does not have anger management issues. The universe is not a person that's watching you and making sure that justice is meted out. No, the universe is reflective. Our lives and our experience is all feedback. So if we're not liking what we're experiencing, it's feedback for us to do some inner work. So the second part of kind and just society, being kind and just in our hearts, being loving in our hearts, is the realization that anything that bothers me, anything that's causing me pain or suffering, is a symbol of something inside of me that's seeking to be healed. Now, that's hard to deal with sometimes, because sometimes whatever happened out there really sucked. And that thing that person did wasn't right. And it's okay. It's okay for us to be in a place of righteous indignation around certain things. Righteous indignation has a long history in human consciousness. Jesus throwing over the tables at the temple from the money changers was a sign of righteous indignation. St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Augustine, both talk about righteous indignation. It's the opportunity for us to speak out against injustice. That's our responsibility, is to speak out against injustice. There are many times when there's something for us to do about that injustice. And we do that not by fighting against the injustice, but by holding a vision of the world that we want to see. We've got to be for something. Mother Teresa was asked to fight or to walk in a anti-war march, and she refused. And they asked her why, and she said, "I'm not against anything, but if you have a pro-peace rally, I'll march in that." So we don't want to be against anything. What we resist persists. We want to be for something. We want to have a vision of a kind and just society that we want to see, and it's got to start with us. The peace has to start with us. The love has to start with us. And that means not just me being peaceful and loving to other people. It means me being peaceful and loving to myself. This is of utmost importance, because how do loving, kind, sweet, spiritual people turn into bitchy, cranky curmudgeons? By not taking care of themselves, and then they become resentful and bitter, right? People who don't take care of themselves become resentful and bitter and become the martyr. Oh my God, I'm so busy and nobody, right? Nobody likes that. So it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves. And the first responsibility, the first relationship that we have is to ourselves. And then we can go from me to we and start having an understanding of that even as we move in society, anything that's outside of me that's causing me pain and suffering is a symbol of something inside of me that doesn't make the action right or wrong. I might love what's going on or dislike what's going on. If I dislike it, remember not to take it personally. It's not a personal attack. It's something that's happening. Now, that thing that's causing me upset, what is it reflecting inside of me that wants to be healed, that wants to be brought to the light? Once I heal that within myself, circumstances and conditions change. Why? Because we're not seeing a fixed world out there, that we're just simply seeing reality exactly as it is. We are seeing a world that's mitigated through our own thoughts and opinions, views, perspectives, and ideas and beliefs around we're seeing a world mitigated by our particular point of view and perspective. On a physiological level, there are so many things that the brain does predictive coding on, that just because we've seen trees, we've seen mountains, a lot of times the brain makes up and fills in a lot of the gaps. We're not getting all the information. It's called predictive coding. Even look at the moon, the full moon just recently. When the moon was close to the horizon, it looked huge. And then when the moon's up in the sky, it looks really small. Does the moon change size from the horizon to the apex? Is it farther away when it's up there and closer when it's at the horizon? No, the moon is always the same distance. That is an optical illusion that our eyes, because there's something relative to the size of the moon, that the horizon, to compare the moon to, its size in our minds, in the interpretation of our minds, our eyes increases the size of the moon because it's in relation to something close to the horizon. And as it gets farther away from the horizon, there's no comparative object next to it. and its size appears to be different, but the moon objectively does not change. We are not seeing reality objectively. We're interpreting reality not only through our opinions and thoughts and judgments and beliefs and through our past experiences, but literally physiologically, we're interpreting reality. Automatically, our apparatus is interpreting. So we got to be really, really careful not to make assumptions that we're seeing things clearly, ever. The next piece is constructive communication and kind and just society. I may disagree. Here's the last thing I'll say. This is my last point for today. People vehemently disagree. I talked earlier about my cousin whose godmother isn't speaking to her now because they voted differently in the election. I may vehemently disagree with either side, one side or the other. However, today, the thing that's different, wow, Kit, I just got the best comment. I'm going to put that up. Thank you, brother or sister. Kit says, you're a wonderful teacher. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. We're not dealing with the same set of facts anymore. That's what's changed. We're not dealing with the same set of facts. It used to be like, okay, I agree the sky's blue and water's wet and trees have leaves and squirrels crawl up them, right? Those were some facts that we can agree upon. That's no longer the case because it's a conspiracy to make you believe that the sky's blue and that water's wet. And there's these people that are pulling the levers of society. I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, think about how hard it is to get any group of people to stay in alignment, even if they have similar interests. Look at Trump and Elon Musk, two people that have very different interests, but for a certain amount of time, they're together. But I don't know how long that relationship is going to last because they have divergent interests. So think about a cabal of of conspiracy people, how hard it would be to get them to agree. But that's not the point I was making. The point I'm making is that we have to acknowledge that we're not all working with the same set of facts any longer, and that the other side, whatever side it is, has some good ideas. We have to acknowledge that there's probably some good ideas on the other side. Let me listen. I've stopped. So some tips for constructive communication, especially around politics, ideas of identity, gender, race, etc., is to be curious. I no longer have any concept of trying to make a point or to win a conversation. I used to really feel like it was my duty to set something straight if people were, in my opinion, misinformed. No longer. I actually, because the minute we do that, the minute I started noticing, the minute I did that, we were at odds and communication shut down and listening shut down. So I really think that what we need to be doing now, and what I'm doing personally, is being curious. Even if it's an abhorrent idea, I start asking questions. Oh, so you believe this? I was talking to a guy just the other day who was saying, really nice guy. He was saying that it was the Mexicans that ruined his neighborhood, and normally I would have been like, racist, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, so this is your experience. Okay. Wow, I can see how we really all want to have safe neighborhoods. We all want safety for our children and for our families. We want to be able to walk on the streets and feel safe. We can agree on that. Let's find some common ground. And then let me get curious about your opinion. Is that what's making you feel unsafe? Okay. And we had a conversation. Now, I didn't offer any opinion. I just asked him questions and listened. It was really challenging because there were a lot of things that I wanted to defend. But what am I defending? The more defensive I am, the more the walls go up and the further divide happens. And if my intention is kind and just global society, it's got to begin with me. then I've got to have constructive communication skills to ask empowering questions, to be curious, to realize that acknowledging someone's point of view or opinion is not agreeing with it. This was big for me. Acknowledgement does not mean agreement. So I can acknowledge what he was feeling. I can acknowledge that that's his perspective. I am not going to win the argument with him around the bias in his perspective. However, by maintaining communication, open communication with him, and being a space for him to speak and be heard, I'm much more likely to continue to make a connection. And through our connection, we will both be informed. We will both learn something because there's probably some truth on his side. He's feeling unsafe. He's noticing crime going up. Now, those are not directly contingent to a particular race, right? But he's feeling some things that are true. Crime's going up in his neighborhood. He's unsafe on the streets in these areas. The quality of this living environment has changed from when he was a child in the valley in California. Okay. Those are things. So there's some truth in what he's saying. Let's find those places of common ground so that we can continue to stay in relationship with each other. Because the more we wall ourselves off and go to our perspective bubbles, the further this divide gets and the farther away from a kind and just global society we are. So that's my thought on kind and just and how we are moving. And I think, it's what I'm attempting to do as I encounter more and more people wanting to leave the United States because of the election, wanting to come to Costa Rica. Please don't come to Costa Rica. It was okay that I came, but then after me, nobody else, okay? Please. It's awful here. You don't want to be here. You can hear the noise outside. It's just awful. Noisy. Don't come. So, but so many people want to leave. That's not the answer. The answer isn't to bring our problems to another country. The answer is that we find ways to find common ground because we do have so much in common. And we all want the same things. We all want safety. We all want a place to raise our families. We all want, prosperity and economic success and well-being. We all want health and wholeness. We all want peace. We all want the same things, but we're not dealing with the same set of facts. And so because we're not dealing with the same set of facts, because it's not coming from the media, social media, all that stuff is just muddying everything now. So we've got to have interpersonal communication in order to bridge that gap. All right. That is my walking the path this week. I'm so grateful and so thankful that you all joined. Thank you for being here, Susan and Patricia and Ethan and Jorge, mi hermano, and Charlotte. I mean, just everybody. Thank you so much over here. Maya, thank you. Thank you. And Kit, everybody, I really appreciate you.